The neon sign outside flickers against the fading evening light, buzzing like an old generator straining to keep the place alive. The Main Street diner isn't much cracked vinyl booths, chipped coffee mugs, a jukebox that hasn't worked since the Bush administration, but for Sarah Collins, it's home. She moves between tables with practiced precision, balancing plates and refilling cups without spilling a drop to the regulars. She's just another waitress. Quiet, polite, always on time, but there's something in the way she scans the room that sets her apart. She never stands with her back to the door. She notes who comes and goes, who lingers too long at the register, who keeps their hands hidden under the table. She doesn't do it consciously, it's muscle memory. Her eyes flick to the corner booth. Old Tom Alvarez, Vietnam vet, nursing his usual black coffee. He watches her work with the subtle respect of a man who sees more than others do. He knows those eyes, he's seen them before, in men who'd been downrange. The front door slams open with a metallic rattle. The peaceful clink of silverware halts, for men stumble inside, their laughter sharp, their boots heavy on the tile. Derek Wade leads them, a broad-shouldered local with a football jacket he never outgrew. His smirk says the town is his kingdom, and the diner just another place to hold court. Look at this, Derek drawls, loud enough for everyone to hear. Soldiers of fortune serving flapjacks, his buddies laugh. The sound grating, meant to draw every eye to Sarah. Sarah doesn't flinch. She places a plate gently in front of Tom, wipes her hands on her apron, and turns toward the new arrivals. Evening, fellas, she says evenly. Booth or counter? The mockery begins immediately. Booth, one of Derek's friends, GRs. What's the matter, sweetheart? Afraid we'll get too close at the counter? The others snicker. Sarah doesn't answer. She just gestures calmly toward the corner booth. They swagger over, bumping chairs and shoving into each other, loud and careless. When she arrives with menus, Derek doesn't even look at the paper. Coffee, black, he orders, and make sure it's hot this time. Sarah nods, scribbles on her pad, and walks away. Behind her, the men mutter, voices dripping with cruelty. She's too quiet. Bet she's hiding something. Nah, she's just another small-town waitress. Nothing special. The coffee pot hisses as Sarah fills their cups. She steadies her hand, but she already knows what's coming. Derek waits until she sets his mug down. Then, oops, he shoves it just enough to spill across the table. The steaming liquid splashes onto the floor, dripping against Sarah's shoes. His crew howls with laughter. Guess she's clumsy after. All the diner goes quiet. Other patrons stare, unsure if they should step in. Sarah crouches, rag in hand, cleaning up the mess without a word. Her movements are steady, controlled, but her eyes are something else entirely. Inside, the memories stir. A dark mountainside in Afghanistan. The smell of cordite and dust. A radio crackling in her ear. Raven 2-1, target confirmed, send it. Her finger resting against a cold trigger. Her breathing slow, measured. One pull, one shot, one enemy fighter down. She blinks, forcing herself back into the diner. Her hand trembles slightly as she wipes the floor, not from fear, but from restraint. She can already calculate how quickly she could take Derek down. His stance is lazy, his right knee weak from an old injury. He leaves his chin exposed when he laughs. She sees vulnerabilities the way others see colors, but she doesn't move. Not yet. Tom Alvarez leans forward in his booth, eyes narrowing. He mutters just loud enough for her to hear. Don't let them bait you, kid. Sarah exhales slowly. She finishes cleaning, stands, and meets Derek's gaze. You want another cup? She asks, voice calm, steady. He smirks. Yeah, and try not to screw it up this time. She turns away, jaw clenched. The laughter behind her cuts like barbed wire. Every step back to the counter feels like walking through hostile territory. Every mocking word a sniper's round buzzing past her ear. But she keeps moving because Sarah Collins isn't afraid of men like Derek Wade. She's afraid of herself, of what she might unleash if she stops holding back. Back at their booth, Derek leans close to his buddies. You watch, she won't last a week. Girls like that, they break easy. The words echo, overlapping with another voice, in Sarah's memory. Her sniper instructor years ago. Everyone breaks under pressure. Collins, the difference is whether you break before or after the mission. She steadies her breath. 1, 2, 3. Just like she was trained. She returns to the booth, sets down the fresh cups without a word. This time Derek doesn't shove them. He just smiles, the kind of smile that says he's planning something worse. The diner resumes its hum, but the atmosphere has shifted. Patrons eat quickly, casting glances toward the corner, waiting for the next spark. Sarah stands at the counter, rag in hand, staring at the door. She could walk out right now, leave the mess behind. But that's not who she is. She didn't run from firefights overseas, and she won't run from this. Her eyes flicker toward Tom. He gives a slow nod, as if to say he understands. He's been where she is, balancing on the edge of violence, trying not to tip. Derek's laugh breaks the silence again. Louder this time. He leans back, stretching his arms wide like he owns the place. And Sarah's hands still. Trembling tightens into a fist, not from fear, from the effort of holding back. The diner hums with the Low murmur of forks against plates, and the faint crackle of a ball game on the old radio. But Sarah Collins isn't listening. Her eyes sweep the room in quiet, practiced arcs.exit signs too. The front door sticks at the hinge, would cost her half a second if she had to move quick. Back door leads straight into the alley. Windows, sightlines to broad, poor cover. She doesn't think about doing it, she just does. Her brain has been wired this way since sniper school, always scanning, always calculating. Sarah takes a booth against the far wall, back to the corner, eyes forward. From here, she can see every face in the room, every angle of approach. It's instinct, not paranoia. Soldiers know. Complacency kills. Old Tom Alvarez notices. He always does. Vietnam had carved something into him, something sharp that never really dulled. He sips his coffee slow, eyes studying her over the rim of the mug. You ever notice? He says finally, voice like gravel dragged across pavement, how most folks sit where it's convenient. But you, he points with his spoon, you, sit where it's tactical. Sarah forces a small smile. Old habit, I guess. Tom chuckles, low and knowing. Yeah, I used to see it all the time. Guys back from the jungle. Couldn't sit with their backs to the door either. Kept scanning, like the enemy was still out there. She shrugs it off, but his words cut close. If anyone here might guess the truth, it's him. Across the diner, Derek Wade slams his hand down on the counter to get her attention. The sound makes a few heads turn. He doesn't care. He wants the attention. Hey waitress, he calls, waving an empty glass. How about a refill before I die of thirst? His friends laugh. Sarah rises, calm as ever, coffee pot in hand. She approaches their booth with steady steps, posture straight, but she doesn't miss a detail, the way Derek's right boot taps impatiently, the way his buddy hides a smirk behind his hand. They're testing her. She leans in to pour. Derek waits until the stream of coffee nears the rim, then snaps his wrist and grips hers. The pot jerks, liquid splashing across the table. The diner goes still. Derek squeezes harder, leaning close enough that Sarah can smell the sour mix of beer and cheap cologne. You move real precise, sweetheart, he sneers. Too precise. For some diner rat? Makes me wonder, what are you hiding? Sarah doesn't flinch, not in the slightest. Her pulse quickens, but her face stays calm, eyes steady. Inside, her training screams, don't escalate, assess, breathe. For 3 long seconds, it's a standoff. His grip is firm, but she knows exactly how to break it. A twist of her wrist, thumb against the weak point, and his hand would snap back. Like a trap spring in, she pictures it, muscle memory already playing the move in her head. But she doesn't, not yet. She looks him dead in the eye, voice quiet even. Let go. The way she says it makes his buddies fall silent. There's no fear in her tone, only control. Derek hesitates, confused by her stillness. He expects flinching, maybe a plea. Not this. Finally, he smirks and releases her. Didn't mean nothing by it, he says, grinning wide for his friends. Just having fun. They chuckle weakly, but the tension doesn't fade. It hangs in the air, thick as humidity before a storm. Sarah straightens, sets the pot down, and wipes the spilled coffee with deliberate calm. Then she nods politely. Enjoy your meal. She turns, walks toward the door, her steps measured. To the patrons, it looks like retreat. To Tom Alvarez, it looks like something else. The kind soldiers use to walk away from fights they know they could win. The bell over the diner door jingles as she pushes it open. Cool night air brushes her face. She breathes deep, steadying herself, but the mask slips. Her jaw tightens. Her eyes sharpen. For a split second, the quiet waitress disappears, and the predator beneath flashes through. In her mind, the diner fades. She hears another sound, distant rotor blades chopping desert air. A memory on spools, unbidden. Raven 2-1, confirm overwatch position. Her voice on the net.com. 2-1, eyes on. Ready to send it. The trigger cool beneath her finger, target framed perfectly in her scope. Her eyes in the present mirror those eyes in the past, steady, unblinking, dangerous. She exhales, forces the memory back into its box. Because tonight, she's supposed to be just a waitress. Back inside, Derek laughs louder, puffing his chest for his friends, pretending he's won. But Tom doesn't laugh. He watches Sarah through the window. As she walks across the parking lot, her shadow stretching long in the neon glow, he mutters to himself, that girl's no waitress. That girl's a soldier. The gravel crunches under Sarah's boots as she walks up the dirt path to her cabin. The night air is cool, carrying the faint smell of pine and wood smoke from a neighbor's chimney. From the outside, the place looks like nothing, a weathered one-room cabin tucked back from the road. Porch light barely glowing. No one passing by would ever guess the life she's lived. Inside, it's bare. A table with one chair, a cot pushed against the wall, a bookshelf with a few worn paperbacks, and a single framed photo turned face down. She moves through the space quietly, like a soldier checking a safe house. Her eyes sweep corners. Her hand flicks the light switch twice, habit, not necessity. She kneels beside the bed. For a long moment, she just stares at the floorboards, her hand hovering. Then she reaches underneath and drags out a small, dented metal locker. She hesitates, fingers resting on the latch. Click. The lid creaks open, revealing what she's tried to bury. A neatly folded Army combat uniform, the shoulder patch, 75th Ranger Regiment, the insignia, U.S. Army Sniper School. Beneath it, a battered M24 scope, paint chipped, but glass still clear. And at the very bottom, tangled in the fabric, a pair of broken dog tags, chains snapped in two. Sarah lifts them gently. The metal is cool against her palm. Her thumb traces the letters SBC Daniel Hawk Hawkins, her spana, her best friend. The chain had snapped the day he died. She's carried the weight of it ever since. Her breath hitches, the walls of the cabin dissolve, and suddenly she's somewhere else. Afghanistan, Kandahar province. The sun blazes white-hot overhead. Dust swirls choking, carried by rotor wash from a departing Black Hawk. Her rifle lies steady in front of her, bipod dug into the rocky soil. Through the scope, the world narrows to a single, perfect circle. Raven 2-1, confirm overwatch. The radio crackles. She presses the transmit button. Her voice is calm, measured. Raven 2-1, eyes on grid 5, 642 over. Next to her, Hawk adjusts his spotting scope, lips curled into a grin. You're too calm, Collins. You sound like you're ordering room service. She smirks, eyes still in the glass. Better calm than dead. Down below, a ranger squad moves through the wadi exposed. Movement catches her eye. 3 armed insurgents slipping from cover, rifles raised. Time slows. Contact 310. Eastridge. Hawk calls, voice sharp now. Range 7. She adjusts her windage, breath steady. Exhale, slow squeeze. The shot cracks like thunder. Through the scope, she watches the first man drop. Bolt cycles, second shot, second target down. The third flees, vanishing into dust. Direct hits. Hawk mutters awe in his voice. Damn, Collins, you just saved their asses. But she doesn't feel pride. She just feels the weight of the trigger. Back in the cabin, Sarah's fingers tremble as she lowers the tags back into the box. The memory shifts, not to victory, but to the day it all ended. A convoy ambush, gunfire shredding the desert air, RPG impact rocking their overwatch position. She remembers Hawk shouting coordinates, his voice cut short by a sudden explosion. The blast threw her flat, ears ringing. When she crawled to him, he was already gone, body broken, chain around his neck snapped clean in half. She carries half of it still. The army shipped the other half home to his mother. That was the day she decided to leave. Sarah closes the footlocker with a heavy thud, the sound echoing through the small cabin like a gunshot. She sits back against the bed, breathing hard, the old scar on her temple burning like it's fresh again. Her mind races. She's supposed to be just a waitress now, just another face in a nowhere town. But every time she touches those tags, the soldier inside claws to the surface. The phone rings. The shrill sound cuts through the silence like incoming fire. She freezes, hand hovering before finally lifting the receiver. Sarah, the voice is rough, familiar. Tom Alvarez. She swallows. Yeah, Tom. What's going on? There's hesitation. On the other end, then a sigh. It's Derek. Him and his boys are back at the diner. They've got that new waitress cornered. She's just a kid. Sarah. They're giving her hell. Sarah's chest tightens. She can picture it already. The jeers, the laughter, the cruel amusement. The same routine they tried on her. But the new girl doesn't have training. She won't know how to keep her voice calm, her hands steady. Tom's voice lowers. I'd step in myself, but you've seen me. These old knees won't hold up in a fight anymore. Sarah grips the phone tighter, knuckles white. Her reflection stares back at her from the darkened window, eyes sharp, jaw clenched. The waitress is gone. The sniper is awake. The bell above the diner door jingles, but the cheerful sound is swallowed instantly by the low growl of male laughter. Derek and his crew occupy the corner booth like a pack of wolves. Coffee cups scattered, boots up on the seats, their voices cut through the quiet room. At the counter, the new waitresser girl, barely 16, name tag crooked on her apron, tries to take their order. Her hands tremble. Her voice catches CC coffee. She stammers. The laughter erupts. Derek slaps the table with mock applause. Hear that, boys? We got ourselves a stuttering songbird. His friends join in, repeating her words back. In cruel mimicry, the girl flinches, cheeks burning red. A plate rattles in her hands. She wants to vanish, but she isn't alone. The door swings open again, and Sarah steps inside. She pauses just past the threshold, eyes scanning. No wasted motion, no hesitation. Her situational awareness kicks in like muscle memory. Door, windows, exits, threat assessment, the old habits. Never really die. She sees the waitress pinned by laughter. She sees Derek's broad back, shoulders squared in dominance. She sees the girl's lip trembling as she sets the coffee down. The mug sloshing. Sarah walks forward, slow, deliberate. The floorboards creak beneath her boots, shifts over. Kid, she says, voice level, steady, go in, back. I've got the floor now. The girl blinks, startled. Relief flashes across her face. She doesn't hesitate. She disappears through the swinging kitchen doors, leaving Sarah to face the wolves. Derek swivels in the booth, grin curling into something darker. Well, look who it is. The quiet little waitress who thinks she's too good to smile at us. Sarah doesn't answer. She picks up the abandoned coffee pot, pours into their cups with steady hands. Not a drop spills. The silence unnerves them more than words. Derek leans closer. You think you're tough, don't ya? His voice drips mockery. Sarah sets the pot down with a soft clink. Her gaze meets his, cold, unshaken. I think you should drink your coffee before it gets cold. The booth goes still. For the first time, the laughter dies. Derek hates it the way she won't play along, the way she doesn't flinch. He thrives on fear, on weakness. But this woman, nothing in her eyes gives him ground. He grabs his mug, gulps, then slams it back down. Hard enough to rattle the silverware. You know what your problem is, sweetheart? No respect, none. One of his buddies snickers. Bet we could teach her some manners. Sarah's pulse ticks faster, but her breathing stays calm. She centers herself the way she used to before. A shot, control the heart rate, control the trigger. Don't let the enemy set the pace. Her voice remains cool. Respect isn't given to bullies. You want it? Earn it. The insult hits like a round through glass. Derek's face twists. He pushes back from the booth, towering over her for a moment. The diner holds its breath. Then dash smash. He sweeps an empty plate off the table. It shatters against the linoleum, shards scattering like shrapnel. The sound ricochets off the walls. Every head in the diner turns. Forks pause midair. The tension thickens until it hums. Derek looms, jaw clenched. You just made the biggest mistake of your life, Sarah. Doesn't move, doesn't blink. The only sound is the faint ring of ceramic shards settling on the floor. Her training whispers through her veins. Don't escalate. Control the terrain. Use their overconfidence. She tilts her head, eyes locking with his. Calm, deadly calm. You really don't want to test me. The words drop like a suppressed round in the silence. No shout, no threat. Just absolute certainty. And that certainty rattles him more than any raised voice ever could. The night is black. Velvet stretched over the back roads. Pine trees close in on either side, their silhouettes jagged against the sliver of moonlight. Sarah drives steady headlights cutting a pale ribbon through the dark, behind her headlamps. Too close. Too steady. She knows the tail isn't an accident. Her rearview mirror frames Derek's truck, a beast of steel and arrogance, with two more vehicles following close behind. His wolves, his mistake. Sarah's grip on the wheel doesn't tighten. Her pulse doesn't spike. She's calm, analytical. This isn't panic. This is preparation. If they think they're hunting me, they're already dead wrong. Derek leans forward in his driver's seat, teeth bared in a grin. He can already taste the satisfaction of cornering her. He doesn't notice the way her brake lights pulse, not slowing, just signaling. Deliberate, like bait on a hook. Sarah flicks off her high beams. Darkness swallows the road. The game begins. The woods open, onto a narrow fire trail. Gravel crunches as she veers off asphalt. No hesitation. Tires spit dust as her truck disappears into the tree line. Derek, whoops, behind her. She's running. Boys, we got ourselves a chase. But Sarah isn't running. She's drawing them in. She kills her headlights after the first bend. Driving by memory, by moonlight slivers through branches. Every rut and turn is familiar. She's mapped this terrain with a soldier's precision. Behind her, the convoy barrels. After, blind in their confidence. Good, she thinks. Overconfidence is a weapon. And tonight, it belongs to me. She cuts the engine a mile in. Silence drops heavy, broken only by ticking metal as her truck cools. She slides out, boots kissing dirt. Without a sound, her body moves on, instinct low, deliberate, every step distributing weight evenly. This is no diner waitress now. This is Raven, sniper of Afghanistan, ghost on Overwatch. Her hands work quickly, paracord from her pack, anchored to low branches. A simple snare, pre-triggered, not lethal but humiliating, disorienting. That's all she needs. She melts into the tree line, disappearing into shadows like smoke. Engines roar closer. Headlights slash through trees. Derek's crew spill out of trucks, flashlights cutting frantic cones of light. Spread out. Derek orders, swagger in his tone. She can't hide forever. Sarah watches from cover, body pressed against damp bark. She slows her breathing, until it matches the night. Trigger discipline. Not with a rifle, but with herself. Don't act until the shot is perfect. One of Derek's men pushes ahead, flashlight beam jerking across branches. He doesn't see the paracord loop. His boot catches snap. He's yanked off his feet, rope cinching around his ankle, dragging him hard against the tree limb. His flashlight spins into the dirt. He curses, flailing upside down. Helpless, goddammit. Get me down. The woods explode with laughter from the others at first, but Sarah notes the edge in it. They didn't expect resistance. From the shadows, she allows herself the ghost of a smile. Lesson 1. You are not the predator tonight. Derek storms over, knife flashing as he cuts his man loose. Fury sparks across his face. This wasn't supposed to happen. Quit screwing around, he snarls. Find her. The men fan out again, but the bravado is cracking. Their flashlights jitter more than before. They keep glancing over shoulders, into shadows that suddenly feel alive. Sarah shifts position silently. 30 meters to the left, she's a phantom, moving with the patience of years behind the scope. Every twig avoided, every step calculated. Control the terrain, control the tempo. Let them chase ghosts. Another man halts, head jerking. Did you hear that? There was nothing, only the whisper of leaves stirred by night wind. But fear makes enemies of silence. Derek Curse's voice strained now. She's just a woman. Get your head straight. Sarah crouches in cover, eyes on him. She marks his posture, his tone, the way even he glances into the dark longer than he means to. He doesn't understand yet, but he will. Sarah slips a stone between her fingers and flicks it into the brush 50 yards away. The sound is small, but in the charged silence, it detonates like a gunshot. Flashlights whip toward it, shouts echo. Two of the men stumble after. The phantom noise, separation, vulnerability, exactly as planned. Derek is left with only one at his side. Jaw clenched tight. He growls low, but there's a hitch in his breathing now. Sarah whispers to herself, steady as ever. Lesson 2. Never underestimate your target. The forest is alive with sound. Insects buzz. A nightbird calls. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote yips. But to Sarah, crouched low in the underbrush, all of it fades into the steady rhythm of her breathing. In 2-3, out, 2-3. The discipline is automatic, burned into her bones. Years ago, a younger Sarah lies prone in Georgia, dirt, cheek welded to the stock of an M2010 enhanced sniper rifle, sweat beads along her brow, dripping into the fine dust on her camis. Beside her, her spotter mutters through a low, steady voice. Winds quartering left, 7 miles per, adjust half a mil. Sarah doesn't blink. She shifts her hold, dials the scope, waits. Patience is the weapon. Her spotter's tone sharpens. Target's in the open. Don't chase it. Let it breathe. Control your heartbeat. Squeeze down, pull. The trigger breaks. Recoil slams back into her shoulder. The steel gong 2,000 yards out rings faint but clear. The instructor behind them nods. Patience wins fights. Specialist impulse gets people killed. Sarah breathes deep, files the lesson away. Her boots sink silently into pine needles as she shadows Derek's crew. They blunder through the underbrush, flashlights jittering. Too loud, too fast. Like rookies on patrol who've never learned what silence costs. Sarah glides parallel, keeping 30 meters offset. Invisible, patient, she's not running anymore. Hunting. One of Derek's men curses as branches whip his face. Another snaps a twig underfoot. Sarah feels it like a thunderclap. Amateurs. You're making this too easy, she thinks. Derek halts his men with a raised fist. He squints into the dark, sweat glistening along his brow, despite the cool night. He doesn't know why, but the hair on his neck stands straight. Fan out. She's here somewhere. The command tries for confidence, but the edge of fear betrays him. From the tree line, Sarah's eyes narrow. Her finger rests against her thigh, trigger discipline without a rifle. She won't reveal herself. Not yet. The patience drilled into her years ago whispers the same mantra. Wait for the perfect shot. Sand bakes her skin beneath a ghillie suit. She's motionless for hours, on trails crawling across her arms, biting, stinging. She doesn't move, doesn't scratch, doesn't flinch. Her spotter, a Marine sergeant with a dry drawl, whispers in her earpiece. You good, Raven, solid. Target. Show eventually. Remember, our job ain't to shoot fast. Our job's to shoot right. They lie silent in their hide, heat shimmering through the scope. Hours pass. Then a Taliban commander steps into view. Sarah's breathing slows. World narrows. She squeezes. The man drops before he even hears the crack. The radio hums with static before HQ's voice cuts in. Target neutralized. Good shot, Raven. Sarah slides closer, circling them. Her breathing doesn't change. Her steps make no sound. A branch shifts. One man freezes, scanning. He senses her, but can't place it. Sarah waits, doesn't move. Patience. Always patience. Derek growls. You hear that? She's out there watching. The silence that follows is crushing. Every man in his crew suddenly feels naked. One man panics, fires a wild shotgun blast into the trees. The boom shatters the night, echoing through the forest. But the woods swallow the sound. Sarah doesn't flinch, doesn't break cover. Instead, she uses it. While their ears ring, she shifts position. Faster this time, a blur in the dark. When the ringing fades, she's behind them. Her lips almost curve into a smile. Sniper's patience. Derek, you don't even know how close I am. Targets pop up in staggered sequence, moving silhouettes, varied ranges, unpredictable angles. Sarah's scope tracks them all. 300 meters, left to right runner. Copy. She leads the target, breath locked at the bottom of her exhale. Crack. Steel rings. 650 partial silhouette. 2 o'clock on crack, another hit. The evaluator watches silently, pencil scratching on his clipboard. Hours later, as the sun dips, Sarah lowers her rifle, muscles screaming from stillness. The instructor finally nods. Congratulations. You've got the patience of a ghost. Don't ever lose it. Derek's crew is unraveling. One mutters, man, she's not normal. Nobody moves like that. Derek snarls, but even he feels it, the chill of being prey. He can't shake the sense that eyes are boring through the back of his skull. Sarah edges closer, until she's a breath away from the clearing's edge. She could end it right now. She could step out, dismantle them piece by piece. Her hand hovers near the hilt of the blade strapped to her boot. Every instinct screams for action, but then discipline. The sniper's patience, not yet. She exhales slowly, lips parting just enough to let her voice slip out a whisper that cuts colder than any blade. Next time, you won't see me coming. The words ripple through the dark. Derek spins, panic raw in his eyes. But there's nothing. No shadow, no figure, just trees. The crew stiffens, spooked beyond recovery. Derek swallows hard, forcing a laugh he doesn't believe. She's bluffing, just a waitress playing games. But deep down, he knows the truth. This was no bluff. This was a warning. And warnings from predators come only once. The bar is thick with smoke and louder than usual for a Tuesday night. Derek sits at the head of a corner booth, beer sloshing in his hand as he laughs louder than necessary. His crew leans in, pretending to enjoy the show. Crazy war vet, he sneers, voice sharp enough to cut through the noise. That's what she is. Snaps on people. Y'all saw her. She's dangerous. Belongs in a padded room. Not this town. The men chuckle, but their eyes betray unease. They remember the woods. They remember her voice slipping from the dark like a predator's whisper. Still, none dare challenge Derek. He slams the bottle down. She thinks she scared me. Hell, I'll run her out of here myself. The lie tastes bitter even to him. His heart hasn't stopped racing since that night. The next morning, Sarah wipes down the counter at the diner when the bell above the door jingles. Sheriff Tate, Derek's uncle, steps inside. His uniform is crisp, boots polished, but his eyes are tired, calculating. Morning, Miss Parker. His tone is civil, but it carries a weight. He tips his hat before lowering his voice. Word is, you've been stirring trouble with my nephew. Sarah keeps her hands busy with the rag, hiding the way her pulse ticks faster. Your nephew's been stirring plenty on his own. Tate sighs, a man pretending neutrality but reeking of loyalty. Look, you seem like a good woman. Served your country, I respect that. But this ain't Fort Benning, and it ain't Afghanistan. This is my town. My blood runs it. Best advice. Leave it alone. Maybe leave town. Her jaw clenches. The subtext is clear. A warning wrapped in courtesy. Sarah watches him leave, shoulders tight. For the first time, doubt seeps in. Leaving would be easy. She's done it before. Different towns, different jobs, always moving. But this time feels heavier. This isn't just about her. Derek is poison, and poison spreads. Her reflection stares back from the diner's stainless steel. The face is older than the girl who went to sniper school, but the eyes are the same eyes that waited in dust storms for hours, never blinking, never backing down. Still, the sheriff's words echo, leave town, or else. That night, Tom finds her sitting on the back steps of the diner, boots planted firm, cigarette glowing. In her hand, the neon hum from the sign paints her face in red. You're thinking about running. His voice is calm, matter, fact. She doesn't answer. He sits beside her, sighing like an old engine settling. I've seen that look before. Overseas, guys packing it in, saying they're tired, saying the fight's not worth it. And every time it ended the same. They regretted walking away. Sarah's voice is barely a whisper. I don't want to drag anyone else into this. Tom leans forward, elbows on knees. Listen, Parker, you don't run. You never did over there. Don't do it here. You earned peace, but peace doesn't come by turning your back. It comes when bullies like Derek finally get put in there. Place. Her chest tightens. The words hit deeper than he knows. Across town, Derek is pacing his garage like a caged animal. His crew watches uneasily as he slams a wrench onto the workbench. She thinks she's a ghost, he growls, scaring men in the woods, whispering like she's some damn soldier still. Well, I'll show her. One of his men shifts nervously. Boss, maybe we just let it go. She's not. Derek cuts him off with a glare. No. I want everyone watching when she breaks. I'll humiliate her in front of the whole damn town. He grins, mean and wild. At the diner? Broad daylight. She won't see it coming. The crew trades uneasy glances. They know better than to argue. Back at the diner, Sarah closes up shop, unaware of the storm brewing. She stacks chairs, sweeps the floor, the routine steadying her hands. But her mind runs restless. Every instinct screams, stay ready. The paranoia she learned overseas creeps back in the awareness that threats don't sleep, that danger prefers. The familiar. Her ears catch a car slowing outside. Headlights crawl across the wall, then fade. She stiffens, hand drifting toward the knife strapped to her ankle. Only when the sound fades does she breathe again. Later, she lies in bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep won't come. Instead, memories of her unit flicker like ghosts. The ones who never made it home. The ones who stood their ground when retreat would have been easier. Tom's words echo, you don't run. You never did over there, don't do it here. Her heart pounds steady. She knows he's right. Running is survival. Standing is victory. At the same time, Derek's voice cuts through a smoky bar, feeding his crew whiskey and venom. Tomorrow, he snarls, we walk right into that diner, in front of the whole damn town, and I'm gonna make her wish she never came back. His men nod, some out of fear, some out of loyalty, but deep down, each knows they're poking a bear. The diner hums with evening rhythm, plates clatter. The jukebox hums low in the corner. Conversations overlap, farmers swapping stories, families finishing supper, truckers refilling coffee. Before the road. Then the bell above the door slams open so hard it rattles the glass. Derek strides in first. Boots heavy, chest puffed like he owns the room. His crew follows close, forming a wedge behind him. The air shifts instantly. Casual chatter dies mid-sentence. Sarah stands behind the counter, rag in hand, mid-wipe on a coffee mug. She doesn't move, but every eye in the diner turns her way. Derek smirks. Evenin', soldier girl. His voice drips with mockery, pitched just loud enough for every booth to hear. He steps closer, hand dragging across the counter, knocking silverware to the floor. Heard you've been tellin' folks you're better than us. That true? Sarah says nothing. Her stance is calm, almost casual. Inside, though, her pulse ticks. Steady target acquisition mode. She counts them. 4 men, plus Derek. Tight quarters. Civilians everywhere. Collateral risk high. The silence gnaws at Derek. He shoves the counter hard enough to rattle cups. Answer me. Gasps ripple through the room. Sarah finally sets the mug down, meeting his eyes. Her voice is even quiet. Go home, Derek. This doesn't have to get ugly. The calm only fuels his anger. He steps around the counter, closing the space between them. Close enough now that she can smell the whiskey on his breath. Think you're some kind of hero. Nah, you're just a crazy vet who can't leave the war behind. He shoves her shoulder, hard. The room freezes. Sarah rocks back, but plants her boots, absorbs it, doesn't rise. Her restraint frustrates him more than a punch would have. He shoves again. This time, harder. Fight back. Still, she doesn't move. Her hands stay loose at her sides, eyes locked, unblinking. The tension is unbearable. Forks hang midair, coffee halfway to lips. Nobody speaks. Derek snarls and grabs a fistful of her sleeve. What's the matter? Lose your edge. Sniper. The word lands heavy. Whispers ripple through the diner. Sniper. Sarah feels the sting not of the shove, but of exposure. She's worked hard to keep that part buried, but Derek just dragged it into the light. And then he makes the mistake at the corner booth. Emily, the teenage waitress, gasps as one of Derek's men grabs her by the wrist, yanking her close. Boss says she don't listen. We start breaking things. Maybe people. Emily whimpers. 16 years old. Sarah's eyes snap to the girl. Her chest tightens, memory flashing villages overseas. Innocents caught in the crossfire. The ones she couldn't save. Her jaw sets, shoulders square. A stillness falls over her like a switch being thrown. Engaged Derek doesn't notice the shift. He's too busy grinning at what he thinks is victory. See that? Nobody's on your side. You're done here. But Sarah's eyes change. Cold now. Focused. Her breathing slows, controlled, measured. The way she steadied herself behind the scope 100 times before. She steps forward once, closing the distance. Derek feels it before he registers it. Something in the air turning. Sharp. Her voice is ice. Let her go. The man holding Emily laughs, tightening his grip. Derek chuckles too, shaking his head. Or what? You gonna finally snap? Do it, soldier. Show us that crazy. Sarah tilts her head slightly, calculating angles, exits, positions. The entire diner holds its breath. Her hand flexes once at her side, not fear, readiness. Every instinct she's buried roars awake. She's no longer Sarah the waitress. She's Sergeant Sarah Parker, 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, graduate of Army Sniper School. Combat tours, confirmed kills, survival under fire. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. Her presence does the work. Last chance. The crew shifts uneasily now, suddenly aware they've awoken something they can't measure. The moment hangs razor thin. Derek's wrist is pinned to the counter, his crew frozen in confusion. Every fork, every glass in the diner feels suspended midair. Then the storm breaks. One of Derek's men lunges first, wild, sloppy swing. Sarah pivots offline, weight shifting to her rear foot. She traps his arm, rotates, and drives him into the Formica tabletop. The crack of impact jolts the room. She hooks his wrist, torques the joint straight out of FM3 to 25.150. Joint manipulation section, and he drops with a scream. Gasps echo through the diner. Sarah doesn't gloat, doesn't flinch, just transitions fluid. Precise. Second man. Charges, big frame, bar brawler strength. He tries to wrap her in a bear hug. Sarah shifts her hips, lowers center of gravity, and executes a textbook rear clinch break. Elbow drives into his ribs. A sharp pivot, palm heel strike to the chin, controlled, non-lethal, but enough to stagger him backwards into a booth. Plates crash. Coffee sprays. The diner patrons are frozen, half standing, watching this waitress turn warrior dismantle armed men with machine-like efficiency. Inside Sarah's head, it's all process. Control the angles, minimize civilian risk, neutralize threats one at a time. Her breathing stays even, heart rate disciplined, combat conditioning taking over. Derek snarls, yanking free of her pin. He shouts, "Get her." Third man grabs a chair, swinging wide. Sarah steps inside the arc, collapses the distance. She parries the strike, drives a knee into his thigh, then strips the chair from his grip. A smooth transition, she plants the chair legs into his chest, shoving him backward into the jukebox. Neon lights flicker, music sputters out. The crowd collectively inhales. They've never seen a fight like this, precision instead of chaos. And Sarah, she hasn't even broken stride to left standing. Both hesitate now, uncertainty flashing in their eyes. Derek barks at them. She's one woman, move. One rushes, knife flashing. Civilian danger spikes. Sarah reacts instantly. Knife, defense protocol. She redirects the thrust with her forearm, pivots, seizes the wrist, and executes a siclamp takedown. The blade clatters harmlessly onto tile. She kicks it out of reach, then drives his arm into a joint lock until tendons scream. He yells, dropping to his knees, her eyes cut cold across the diner. Stay down. And he does. The last of Derek's crew hangs back, breathing hard, eyes darting toward the door. For a moment, it looks like he'll bolt, then pride overrides fear. He charges, head lowered like a bull. Sarah sidesteps, hand snapping out, open palm strike to the base of the skull. She redirects his momentum, spinning him forward. He crashes, shoulder first into the counter, breath blasted from his lungs. She sweeps his legs, controlled, precise, and he collapses to the floor with a groan. Neutralized. Silence. Just the sound of labored breathing, broken glass settling, the hum of the neon sign buzzing overhead. Every single one of Derek's men is down, none of them permanently harmed, all incapacitated, and the townsfolk. They're staring at Sarah with wide eyes. Realization dawning, this quiet waitress is something far more. But Derek isn't finished. Rage blinds him. He stumbles back, pulls a knife from his boot, 8-inch hunting blade, gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Entire diner gasps. He snarls, spittle flying. You think you can humiliate me? In front of my town? Sarah turns to face him, her stance lowering instinctively. In her mind, she's back in training. Blade threat? Close quarters. Rule number 1, control the weapon hand. Derek charges, knife raised. Time slows. She doesn't retreat. She steps in. Her left hand clamps his wrist mid-swing, redirecting the blade past her side. Her right hand strikes his elbow, hyperextending the joint. Knife drops loose. Before it hits the floor, she seizes it. A smooth rotation, military precise disarm. In one motion, she reverses grip, drives Derek chest first into the counter. Pinning his arm high behind his back, the steel edge rests at his throat. Derek freezes. The diner is dead silent. The sirens wail before the dust has even settled. Red and blue lights slice across the diner's shattered windows, strobing against overturned chairs and stunned faces. Derek still rides on the floor where Sarah left him pinned. His crew groans, scattered like broken chess pieces. The door slams open. Sheriff Hal Morrison storms inside, heavy boots striking tile like gunfire. His hand hovers near his holster. His eyes burn not with justice, but with something personal. What the hell is this? His voice cuts through the silence. Who started this mess? Every gaze shifts to Sarah. She stands calm, chest steady, posture squared. But inside, her pulse ticks faster. Control it. Don't give him what he wants. Morrison points. You're under arrest. The crowd gasps. Her one-man blurts, she saved that girl. The teenage waitress still trembles, clutching her apron. But the sheriff doesn't hesitate. He strides past Derek, bleeding, bruised. Knife on the floor, and goes straight for Sarah. You laid hands on my nephew, he growls. Assault with a deadly weapon, disturbing the peace. Resisting hold. Tom's voice booms from the back. The old mechanic steps forward, grease-stained hands clenched into fists, his jaw tight, his eyes locked on the sheriff like iron sights. Morrison, Tom says low, deliberate. You've covered for Derek his whole life, but not tonight, not after what she just did. Get out of my way, Tom. The sheriff squares up, hand flexing on his belt. Tom shakes his head. No, these folks need the truth. He looks around, meeting eyes in the crowd. Farmers, mothers, veterans in worn ball caps. The kind of people who've swallowed too much fear for too long. He turns back to Sarah. You never told them who you are, did you? Sarah's jaw tightens. Silence stretches. Not like this. Not now. Tom doesn't wait. His voice rises, steady, and proud. She's not just some waitress. She's Staff Sergeant Sarah Donovan, decorated Army Ranger, a sniper who saved more lives overseas than you'll ever know. While we were sleeping in our warm beds, she was pulling security on rooftops in Kandahar. She's the reason some of our boys made it home. Gasps ripple. Heads turn. Veterans in the corner exchange glances. Recognition, respect, and you. Tom jabs a finger at the sheriff. You were busy cleaning up your nephew's bar fights. Don't you dare put cuffs on a soldier who's given this town more than you ever did. The diner stirs. A woman whispers, she saved that girl. A farmer nods, voice rough. Saw the whole thing. She didn't start it, she ended it. One by one, voices join. Derek had the knife. She disarmed him. She could have killed them, but she didn't. The tide turns. The room no longer feels like Derek's playground, it feels like a jury, and the verdict is shifting against him. Sarah stands silent, weight heavy on her shoulders. She never wanted the spotlight, never wanted the ghosts of Afghanistan dragged into this diner. But as she scans the faces, she sees something she didn't expect: gratitude, respect. Morrison bristles, face red. He raises his voice above the swell. You all think she's some kind of hero? Look around, this is destruction of property, assault, reckless endangerment. I'm the law here, and she's not above it. A veteran in the back speaks up via cap pulled low. His voice cracks but carries. Sheriff, I buried brothers who never came home. Don't you lecture me about the law when you can't even see what's right in front of you. Applause erupts, raw and sudden. The sheriff's jaw locks. His authority, once unchallenged, is crumbling in the very diner he tried to control. Finally speaks, her tone even. I didn't want this, but I won't stand by while he threatens civilians. My oath didn't end when I hung up the uniform. The words land heavy. My oath didn't end. The crowd nods. They believe her. And I side with her. But Morrison refuses to yield. His hand snaps to his cuffs, metal glinting. That's it. You're coming with me now. You think you're some savior? You're nothing but a vigilante, and I'll make damn sure you answer for every broken glass in this diner. The crowd erupts in protest. Tom steps forward, blocking the sheriff's path. The tension spikes to immovable wills colliding, and Sarah knows. In this moment, it's not just about Derek anymore. It's about the whole town. About truth versus corruption. About whether her past is a burden, or her shield. The diner feels like a battlefield after the firefight. Not bullets this time, voices, loyalties, truths colliding. The air hums with tension. The sheriff still postured like he owns the room, but the ground beneath him is shifting. Then it happens. A chair scrapes back. A man in his 70s, Vietnam veteran by the look of his faded first Cav ball cap, stands tall despite the years. His voice carries across the silence. She's one of us. Don't you see it? The way she carries herself, the way she handled this room without spilling a drop of unnecessary blood. That's soldier's discipline. The sheriff tries to cut him off, but another voice rises. A Gulf War Marine, sleeves rolled up to show. Old ink. I know Ranger training when I see it. She didn't fight to win bragging rights. She fought to protect. That's what warriors do. Then another, and another. Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, the generations stacking shoulder to shoulder. Their boots may be scuffed, their knees bad, but their presence is iron. The diner transforms into something more than a roadside eatery. It becomes a muster point. Veterans forming a line without words, instinctively, a brotherhood, a sisterhood, the kind you can't fake, and you can't break. Sarah's chest tightens. She doesn't want this kind of spotlight, but she feels a tan, invisible hand on her shoulder, the weight of a formation standing behind her. They understand. They've been there. They know. The sheriff snarls. Enough of this circus. She's a vigilante, and I'll prove it. But Tom steps forward, dropping a folder onto the counter with a hard slap. The sound rings louder than a gunshot. Funny you mention proof, Tom says, because I pulled records. Derek's records. Unregistered firearms. Assault charges swept under the rug. Intimidation, complaints from half the town. You buried all of it, Sheriff. The room goes still. The evidence sits in plain sight. Ink and paper cutting deeper than fists. Morrison's face strains color. The waitress, still clutching her apron, finds her voice. He's the one who threatened me, not her. He cornered me in the kitchen last week, said nobody would believe me. The words break the dam. Other townsfolk chime in. A store owner, a farmer, one by one. Stories pour out: harassment, threats, debts, collected with fists. Derek's sins, laid bare under the flicker of neon light. The sheriff's grip on authority collapses like a house of cards. Even his deputies, lingering in the doorway, glance at each other uncertainly. They've followed him out of loyalty, but loyalty cracks when truth burns too hot. Derek shouts from the floor, blood still on his lip. They're lying. She set me up, but his voice has no power anymore. No, wait, it's the desperate cry of a man stripped bare. The Vietnam vet steps closer to Sarah, his voice low, meant for her ears, but loud enough to carry. You don't have to say a word. We see you. And we've got your six. It lands like a rifle shot. The Brotherhood has closed ranks. The sheriff looks around and realizes for the first time he's outnumbered, outflanked, and out of excuses. His hand drops from his cuffs. His voice falters. This isn't over. Tom leans in, steel in his tone. Oh, it's over? You just don't like how it ended. A murmur of agreement rolls through the crowd. The sheriff, once untouchable, now stands alone. For a moment, he looks older, smaller. The badge on his chest doesn't shine as bright. Sarah exhales. Controlled, steady. This isn't victory. It's survival. The crowd turns to her, waiting for triumph, for some declaration, but Sarah doesn't take it. She doesn't raise her fist or shout. She just shakes her head. I didn't come here to be anybody's hero, she says softly. I came here to work, to live quiet. The humility disarms them more than her combat skills ever could. No boasting, no bravado, just truth. The sheriff storms out, Derek hauled up by deputies who no longer look at him with loyalty but with disgust. The night air swallows their retreat. Inside, the tension slowly dissolves. Tables are righted, chairs return to place. The sound of normal life creeping back in, though nothing feels normal anymore. Sarah slips behind the counter, grabs a rag, starts wiping glass from the floor. As if nothing just happened. As if the last hour wasn't a battle for the soul of the town. Tom watches, shaking his head with a half-smile. Only you would clean up after saving half the diner. The young waitress approaches slowly, voice trembling. Were you really a sniper? Sarah pauses, rag still in her hand. For a moment, memories flash dusty rooftops. The crack of a rifle, the heavy silence after pulling a trigger. Faces she'll never forget. Brothers and sisters she still carries. She looks at the girl, a smile ghosting across her lips. Some habits never go away. The line hangs, quiet but sharp. A bullet of truth disguised as calm. The waitress nods, eyes wide not with fear, but with awe.